Welcome back to the Peer Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Van Blaircom. I'm really excited to introduce my next guest. But before we get started, if you or someone you know might benefit from today's message, make sure to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. Your support means the world. My next guest, Tony Wall, also known as God's Wild One, is a 42-year-old recovered addict from Balsam Lake, Wisconsin. Tony has spent over 30 years in the grips of active addiction, a life many in his community have witnessed firsthand. But Tony's story doesn't end there. Through faith, recovery, and an unshakable determination, he found freedom and a new way of living. Today, Tony is living proof that no matter how far down you go, change is possible, and hope is never out of reach. His mission is to show others, especially those who saw him at his lowest, that change is possible, transformation is real, and a brighter future is always within reach. Without further ado, here's my next guest,
I
Tony.
appreciate you meeting with me today. We've had some time to kind of talk before my batteries and stuff got charged up here. So, I just appreciate you meeting with me. And I'm hoping if you're comfortable with it, you can kind of start with, your childhood, your lived experience, and kind of what that looked like for you.
Absolutely. I grew up in an alcoholic family. My mom was an alcoholic. My dad was a biker. I thought it was normal to roll joints at the age of 9. Like, I thought that was a normal thing to do. Growing up, we always had bikers at the house. We always had parties and stuff like that. My childhood wasn't real bad, like abusive or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it was just a lot of drug related, a lot of drinking aspects of things. So after that, the age of 12, my mom sobered up. Went through college, got her degree as a AODA counselor. So right about that time is when my addiction took off, when she sobered up. And I started drinking, selling weed at school. I was a state wrestler, so I kind of flew under the radar in school.
Yeah.
After that, I started selling biker crank.
Okay.
We called it cat piss or peanut butter. And that is really when my life really changed dramatically. Was living in Balsam Lake, selling drugs off Main Street of Balsam Lake for years. My mom was a drug counselor. She was working at some facilities in the area, around the area here.
Yeah.
So it was a real power struggle growing up with a drug counselor in your house.
Yeah, I can imagine that'd be.
Yeah,
That'd be.
It was interesting, and I don't quite know how she made it sober.
Yeah, no
I
kidding.
mean, I didn't make it easy on her.
Yeah.
I was one of God's wild ones.
Yeah.
From a very young age, and I know, like, I always hung out with people that were like 4, 5, 6 years older than me,
Sure.
and they were always telling me that I had a problem at a young age.
Yeah.
I remember my very first drink and thinking I had found the aha moment, that everything was going to be awesome after this. And what a surprise it was to see how addiction can absolutely control your life at a very young age.
Right.
So after drinking and stuff through high school, the age of 17, one of my best friends shot himself in my bedroom.
Wow.
And I remember, going, my mom calling me. I was working for a farmer outside of Clear Lake, and calling and saying that somebody shot themselves in my bedroom. And I hung up on her because I thought it was a joke. And then she called back, and she was really, like, freaking out. So I went to the house, and when I pulled up, the SWAT team had my house surrounded on Main Street in Balsam Lake, and the cops literally arrested me and his brother. We had nothing to do with it, but we were just out of control. Like, we knew who it was,
Sure.
you know, so the cops are fighting on us about it. And that's where my hatred for the police came. Right then and there was the exact day that if you were coming after me, you were bringing 15 squads every time.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to stop. And that's the hatred I had after that. And the messed up part about it was after it was all said and done, the cops were going to charge my mom $2,500 to have it cleaned up. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, I'll do it. Mm-hmm. So I ended up cleaning it up.
Yeah.
And the misery and agony that came out of that was like no other.
Yeah.
It was absolutely, it was insane. I literally would drink to black out every time, just to get them images out of my head. And the guilt and shame that I had and remorse I had, because it was my gun, it was in my room, it was my best friend, you know, all that played into my addiction so deep for years.
Yeah.
For 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, and then that actually started like a tidal wave of suicide in our area. There was 7 more of them after that in 9 months.
Wow.
And the next one was one of my very good friends, and he ended up shooting himself in front of me. So it was almost like I felt like everybody that I came in contact with killed themselves. Because that was the tidal wave that went through the area. And it was all on addiction. I mean, it was people that were all drunk or messed up, and I knew them all, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I survived through all that.
Right.
I mean, addiction probably in that aspect saved me, if I look at it that way, because I just stayed comfortably numb all the time.
Yeah.
Over that. So I don't know. It was.
Sounds like a really traumatic thing to see it. You said you were like 17 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It was very traumatic. It was probably one of the most traumatic things that I had happened in my life. Mm-hmm. And it was something that, you know, our secrets keep us sick.
Sure.
So that was always my secret that always kept me in active addiction.
Yeah.
You know, and we gotta get rid of our past and lay it all on the table. And I laid it all at God's feet.
Yep.
Like I had to, because I couldn't, there's no way I could survive any of that.
It's a lot to carry.
Exactly, and it wore me down through the years. You know, and when people that I'm partying with are actively looking at me and saying, dude, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And they're using with me.
Right.
You know, like, what's wrong with you? And I would just look at them and tell them I'm trying to die. And that was the only thing I was on my mind every day. I woke up every day for years and looked in the mirror and said, I'm going to effing kill you today. I'm going to effing kill you today. And that was just the mindset that I had in my addiction. And then not only that, but like dealing dope for all them years. I mean, I got 30 years. I went through all the stages of drug dealing. You know, biker crank to lift, fluff, ice, all of it, you know. And it's absolutely crazy to me. Like, my story doesn't even seem like my story.
Yeah. We were talking about that a little. You were saying like you feel so removed from that lifestyle at this point.
Absolutely, and that's the cool aspect of it about you know, having God first and foremost in my life, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, He's removed all that from me.
Yeah.
My past does not define who I am anymore.
Right.
You know, and I don't have to be loyal to the streets anymore. I don't have to impress the streets anymore. And that is what is amazing to me, that God can actually use me for good.
Yeah.
In a positive direction now. That, like, I'm 11 months sober now this time, and I look back at it and it's like, if you would have told me 11 months ago I'd be sitting here doing this, I would have pistol whipped you, for sure. I was the guy that everybody said there's no way he'll sober back up.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
He'll die in the streets. And, you know, to go through the phases that I'm going through now, I mean, there's a lot of misery in there. 2011, I got caught in a bad car crash, got arrested.
Yeah.
They were trying to give me 65 years. I didn't beat the case, but they gave me 10 years paper and a bunch of time over my head, and I had to jump through all these hoops. I did 14 months in county, 9 months in treatment, 10 years paper, 28 weeks of aftercare. I mean, like, all these hoops that I had to jump through. And I had bits and pieces of sobriety in between there too, you know, like at 18 months but I always went back to my addiction. My addiction always pulled me back in.
Yeah.
And I could never break that cycle, that vicious cycle of staying sober.
Right. Right.
You know, I could never find that missing piece of the puzzle. And now in my sobriety,
I think. Oh, you're still going. I'm sorry. I couldn't see the light. I just wanted to make sure it was still
Yeah.
running. All right.
in my sobriety now, the missing piece that I found was God. 100%.
Yeah.
And
You feel like that was missing
the whole time,
the whole time, yeah.
I
Yeah.
never put God first and foremost in my life. I
Yeah.
always put people, places, and things over pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And now that I've put God number one in my life and my sobriety over everything, even over my own sobriety, like God is number one in my life. My life has taken such a dramatic 180 change. I mean, it's
Can you talk a little bit about, because I mean, I talk to a lot of people and they have contempt for like a higher power or spirituality or whatever that is for them, where they feel like they can't, they hear the word God and they shut down.
Yeah.
What did that look like for you? Like, what was that process like for you to find God?
so I'm at a sober living house.
Yep.
My youngest kid's grandpa picked me up and brought me to a retreat in Clear Lake,
Sure.
and pretty much opened the door and kicked me out. Said your name tag's waiting in there for you. And I went in with an open mind, of course.
Sure,
You know,
yeah.
I know that nothing else in my life had been working
Yeah.
to that point.
Yeah.
You know, I just did 3 tours in 3 different counties.
Yeah.
Got arrested on a big dope case. Went through the ringer with that. So I went in there with an open mind and just willing to accept and to see what the other side looked like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. And I'll never forget, I was sleeping. It was a Friday night. I was sleeping on a flat air mattress. My feet were sticking straight up in the air. And God came to me and said, hold on and watch this. And from that moment on, my life was filled with the Holy Spirit and love and peace and gratitude and kindness and all the things that I never had in my past.
Yeah.
Like, I was always the person in the past that people called when they had bad situations that they needed help with.
Yeah.
And I would come and do dirt, whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So,
We were kind of talking about that earlier too, just about the shift, like how, different, how, I mean, in your words, almost violent before,
oh yeah,
and
Absolutely.
so to have kind of found some peace in your life and not,
and it's undeniable the peace that I have in my life.
Yeah.
That God has restored, bro.
Yeah,
Like it is. I don't even have to say anything to people, and they come up to me and they're like, "Dude, what's different about it?"
yeah,
You know.
yeah,
And
yeah,
instead of having that resting bitch face all the time,
right,
always just angry at the world, and it wasn't even that I was angry at the world. I was angry at myself.
right,
Because I had bits of sobriety, like I had 5 years of sobriety in my life, and I threw it all away. And then after that, I lost my baby brother,
yeah,
and after he passed away, like I had no fear of. I literally tried to kill myself every day.
yeah,
Either OD or have somebody shoot me or suicide by cop or.
Yep.
I mean, the list goes on. I mean, I drank last winter over 600 bottles in a winter because I do concrete in cities, so I'm laid off all winter.
yeah,
I mean, that's next to impossible.
yeah,
So the mind shift that I have now in moving forward in my recovery is it's so dramatic, bro. Like,
Right.
it goes from being mentally insane
Yeah. Yeah.
to I'm quitting my job in the cities doing concrete. God's like, I want you to go get your high school diploma. I'm like, no, bro, I don't want to do none of that. Like, I'm not trying to do none of that. And after I did that, he's like, you're going to enroll in college. And I'm like, I don't want to do none of that either. You know? So,
But here you are.
but yet, here I am sitting here in front of you, you know, like, telling
At the school.
At the school, giving my testimony. You know, that's the cool way that God works in my life, bro, is
Yeah.
I didn't see this coming.
Yeah.
I didn't want this.
Yeah.
Like, at all.
Right.
I wanted to die. And I literally had to get to that last string on the rope for him to step in and say, nah, I got different plans for you.
And you had you were pretty high up there in the union, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
You had a good job. And so to kind of go against what's comfortable, I wouldn't want to do concrete personally. I'm not cut out for it. But to go from that and to basically say, like, I'm going to leave that behind and pursue this, human services field, which, I just, that's a huge, like, leap of faith in a lot of ways, so it's interesting how you talk about God is steering you in that direction. And
My best thinking got me into my worst situations.
yeah.
And for God to use me in a positive direction, bro, like it says in the Bible, it says God shuts a door that can never be opened again.
Yep.
And he opens a door that can never be closed.
Yep.
And that's how my life feels now. He shut my past out.
Yeah.
Like, that's not who I am anymore.
Right.
And I want people I want people to see that change can happen.
Yep.
Even in the worst circumstances.
Yep.
Because I've been stabbed twice. I've been shot in the face.
Yep.
I've been in a car crash facing a 65-year case. I'm still facing a case in St. Croix County for 106. Like, but yet I'm not even worried about any of that.
Right.
I'm working on my future now. I'm building my future.
Yep.
And that's all the glory goes to God on that aspect of it, because I couldn't do this on my own. I couldn't write this up if I wanted to.
Right.
I didn't want this.
Yep.
I wanted to be sober. I prayed to be where I'm at. Don't get me wrong. But I did not see this coming.
Right.
Like, it was like getting hit with a 2x4.
Yeah.
It was a surprise. And the people that I have in my recovery, every one of them now are pillars in recovery, in the recovery community in this area. They're all heavy hitters, every one of them. And that is what is so cool about it, is a lot of them knew me from the streets.
Right.
And now I get to be on the other aspect with them,
Yep.
sober,
Yep.
and doing and speaking and helping newcomers into recovery and show them that it's possible,
Yep.
even at the deepest, darkest despair.
Right.
And that's what I love about this, is God can take our worst situations and turn it into the biggest blessings and miracles.
Yeah.
Right in front of everybody.
Yep. Yeah, and then people start to notice that too. They're
Yes.
Like, oh, look at Tony, or
What's he doing different?
right.
And people ask me that, what's different?
You're giving people hope, just
Amen. You got to give them hope, bro. Sometimes that's all they got.
by right.
A
Yep.
little bit of hope goes a long ways, man.
Yep.
And that's people ask me all the time, what's different with you? And the only thing that's different in my recovery this time is God. I'm still going to the same AA meetings that I always attended.
Yep.
I'm still talking to the same people that I talked to when I was sober before.
Right.
The only thing that is different is I put God first in my life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty amazing the walk that we get to walk now.
Yeah.
And it's the new cool thing to do is sober up. It's a scary world out there.
It is absolutely.
And I'm scared for people that are in active addiction. I pray for people that are in addiction every single day.
Yep.
Day in and day out, because I know what it's like to be the hopeless.
Yep.
You know, I know what it's like to be not knowing where you're going to sleep or eat, you know, or, you know, and I don't want people to put me on a pedestal
Yeah.
in my recovery
Yep.
because I don't know why I'm here.
Right.
And I don't know why they're not.
Right.
You know, don't separate me from the crackhead that's living under the bridge.
Yeah.
Because that was me.
Yep.
You know, I want people to see me and be like, dude, I seen where you came from.
Yep.
And how miserable you were to what you are today. And that's the only thing that that I want to get out of this.
Yeah.
Is to give people hope and love.
Yeah.
And show them that it's possible, man. You know?
And that's maybe a good segue into kind of, you know, the work that you're doing now by doing the human services program. So you're in school with me.
Yeah.
We're both taking the program here at Northwood Tech. And can you talk about like what was your reasoning for getting into this program?
Well, I kind of always wanted to follow my mom's footsteps.
Sure.
She was a beast in her field.
Yep.
Worked at some very big establishments in the area. You know, so I want people to. I struggled in school. Like I was kicked
Sure.
out of every class I was ever in.
Yep.
The only reason they kept me in school was because I was a wrestler, and I couldn't read. I couldn't write. Like school was scary to me. Like
Yep.
the drug world, I'm comfortable in the
Sure.
in the struggle.
Yeah.
But you put a notebook in front of me and ask me to write you an essay, I'm a freak out
Yeah.
type, you know.
Yeah.
So it was a big leap of faith for me to enroll into this, and the reason I wanted to go into human services with AODA is because I want to, you know, show people that it is possible.
Yep.
And I want to pull people out of the gutter, man.
Yeah.
I want to pull people out of the trenches.
Yep.
Because I had people pull me out of the trenches, bro.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
we cannot keep what was freely given to us without giving it back.
Yep.
And that's the main reason I went into this.
Yeah.
You know, because I want people to have hope that it's possible.
Yeah, and I mean, what better person than somebody with that lived experience, you know? I mean, from my experience, the connections are always much deeper because you can relate, you know, you can put yourself in their situation. So, yeah, I mean, it's always created a deeper connection with people. And so that's awesome. So you got a lot coming up here in the next month. Can you talk a little bit about some of the other work that you're doing? You're speaking at a couple events coming up.
I'm speaking at the St. Croix Falls Alano,
Okay.
their speaker meeting, and then one of my very good buddies and my sponsor is putting on a gala in St. Croix.
Yep. Shout out to Josh Hove Memorial Mission Coffee House.
Yep.
I always feel like I'm missing something there.
Yep.
Yeah, they have the gala on the 22nd.
Yep.
So you're going to be speaking at that.
Yep.
Awesome.
It's a day after my 1 year.
Okay. Oh yeah. Well, that's
So,
amazing.
Yep. That's pretty cool. And then
I'll be there with you. So.
Ian is going down to Teen Challenge,
Okay.
and we're going down there to represent.
Okay.
So we got a lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah.
You know, and like the people that are in my community now that are sober, you know, when I'm struggling, that's who I lean on, man.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, and they hold me accountable for my actions, and they're absolutely amazing people in the recovery community because we've all come from that walk of life.
Yep.
You know, and it's so refreshing and so rewarding, bro.
Yep.
To see a light switch go off in somebody's face.
Yeah.
That was so hopeless.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
when they finally get it, like I did. You know, and I don't know, we got a lot of stuff coming up, man. It's pretty cool. We got a sober bike ride coming up that we're gonna be doing. I don't know. The recovery community is starting to get very, very strong in this area.
Yeah.
And
I would
that's-
agree. Yeah.
And that's pretty cool because this area really needs it
Yep.
badly.
Yeah, awesome stuff. It's a great time to be sober and to be in the recovery community, and you know, I feel like there's definitely been a shift. You know,
Yes.
and over the last even 5 years, it just seems like there's more community and people coming together,
Yep.
even outside the rooms. You know, which is really cool to see. Can you talk a little bit about challenges that you see people face getting into recovery or just in our area?
I think a lot of it, I think some of it is funding for people for treatment. I know with my son who struggled with addiction, when I tried to get him into treatment, it was super, super hard.
Yeah.
They wanted out of pocket and all this, So I think some of that is, I mean, people, you gotta want it.
Yep.
You gotta want to change, man. You gotta be accepting and willing to change. And, we're here to help people, through the thick of it.
Yep.
We will literally, something that the Onyx has taught me, bro, is we will love you till you can, till you can love yourself.
Yep.
And that's what they've done to me. And it's like a ripple effect. If you think of a lake that's crystal clear and you throw a rock in the middle of it, that wave goes all the way to shore, but then it comes all the way back too.
Yep.
So, and that's what we try to spread is just love.
Yeah. Yep.
Just love people. There's not a lot of treatment centers in this area either.
Yep.
That's huge. If you go to other areas, there's a lot more treatments.
Yep.
We don't have that here.
Right. Or the ones that we do have, people are waiting 6-8 weeks to get in, which is.
And they change their mind by the time that comes.
Yeah. Well, you got a window there when people are willing, and
Yes.
I mean, the cards are really stacked against people in a lot of ways, but you're absolutely right. Where there's a will, there's a way, and there's a lot of people that are there to help if people are interested. Kind of going along with that, is there anything that you would say to somebody who might be struggling right now?
It can get better.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
I'm living proof of that.
Yeah.
Miracles do happen. Like I prayed on my hands and knees every day to be where I'm at. And I'm here. And I hold it dearly to my heart now. Like, God has blessed me with this miracle of recovery.
Yeah.
So in return, I get to plant seeds in people and give them a little bit of hope and a little bit of love and just show people that it is possible. You just got to put the work in, man.
Right.
You got to be willing. I'm willing. I am willing to go to any lengths for my recovery. Wholeheartedly.
Yep.
Including quitting my job.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to go to any lengths, and that's something that I've never been willing to do in my past recoveries. I've always kept a couple friends that were no good, or this time I wipe the table. Either you're walking like I'm walking, I'm not walking with you.
Yeah.
I don't care because it's my life.
Yeah.
I will die.
Yeah.
It's that bad.
Yeah.
So there is hope out there. You just got to reach out to somebody that's in recovery, that's got a good program, and just ask them how you do it.
Yeah.
We're the ones that make it complicated.
Oh yeah. I'm a pro at that.
Me too. Me too. So yeah.
Well, it's good stuff. I want to give you this last opportunity if there's anything else that you want to share or talk about.
I think just, try, put God first. Put God first in your recovery. What do you got to lose?